evening. Frank Rock, House of Orange, coming at you. Tennessee with a big W tonight in Knoxville, 92-84. That was a fun game tonight. That was a lot of fun to watch. That was one of those. I don't get that worked up over them anymore as far as like nerves and stuff. But tonight, especially that last 10 minutes, my nerves, man, it kind of felt like old times a little bit again, just going back and forth watching that. And I loved what Tennessee did tonight as far as they got down 63-55. Things weren't really going good at that point. Got a timeout. Dalton Connect come down, hit a three. And I really think at that point you saw a change. It reminded me back to the Mississippi State game. It reminded me back to the Georgia games where they went to that timeout. And I really think, and obviously I'm not in the huddle on that, but I think Barnes said, give it to Dalton Connect and let him go because that sucker took that game over tonight. What a night for him. Just looking at 39 points for him. I mean, he was awesome. He was awesome. He was the difference in that game. And, that was a hard-fought team. I said this coming in to the game when I previewed it, when I looked at the keys to victory. This is a damn good team they played tonight in Auburn. They look good defensively. They look good offensively. I think where Tennessee had, Broome had his way with Adu, especially that second half. Broome was a good ball player. That's a good team. I think the difference is obviously they didn't have a Dalton Connect, and Ziegler was on another level from their guards. That was the difference in the game. That's your two guys that need to do their things, and they did it tonight. Proud of this team. Big win for them. That I really think that's essentially going to put Auburn out of winning the regular season conference tournament. That puts Tennessee 2 games clear of Auburn, plus that's just in the loss column, plus the game in hand with the victory as well. But look at the stats tonight for Tennessee. So Adu had 14 points and 7 rebounds. Roy thought he did a lot of his damage in the first half, though. Looking at it here, yeah, I totally agree. Broome was a stud tonight for Auburn, especially that second half. He kind of did his thing for Auburn where you had Connect doing it for Tennessee. And, looking at Auburn's points, so Broome had 23 points, 9 rebounds tonight, 5 assists. He was a good passing big man as well. 1 block, 1 steal. A big guy that can shoot threes. He was 2 for 5 there. His free throw shooting lacked a little to be desired, 3 for 7. But, Auburn had 5 guys in double digits tonight. So Broome was their guy, but they did kind of spread the wealth a little bit as well. Where Tennessee, Adu had a good first half, but his second half, I just thought he got pushed around. He couldn't do anything. He couldn't do anything with Broome tonight. And no, not the second half. And that was, a big thing was, Connect. But ZZ, I thought Ziegler did some good things. His free throw shooting, though, is it's not up to par. That's for sure. And looking again at Tennessee stats, Adu 14.7 rebounds, Vescovy 2 points. But man, his 2 points he got were huge. They were at such a big time in that game with the shot clock winding down. Connect just kind of threw that one up. And when they showed that replay, Auburn's guys, a bunch of them were just standing around. And then here came Vescovy in there, got it, put it back. That was a huge putback by him at that point in the game. And again, it was one of those things I was thinking, here's your fifth-year seniors not showing up again tonight. But Vescovy, he come through big in that moment with that rebound, that putback. And then Josiah Jordan-James, he had a couple big defensive plays. He was a non-factor offensively, but he had the block or whatever happened on that where Bruce Pearl got teed up on it. That was not a foul, by the way. And then he had some other big defensive plays as well. He earned his keep with his defensive play tonight. Vescovy earned his with, he did some good things defensively, got in foul trouble, but, just, again, huge putback for them as well. So look at a couple of comments. So we got 15 people in here right now. Make sure you like this thing, share it. If you watch the channel. You like what it's doing. You haven't already. Make sure you subscribe to this as well. Don't want to spend a lot of time with that as well. Still trying to build this thing out. And we'll see where this goes. If we're in this lower range, I'll probably go about another 15 minutes or so and wrap it up. But and then we'll go from there. But see, Broom balled out, but wasn't enough. With Connect doing his thing. That was the difference, man. Connect he hit that Dalton Connect mode where it was kind of like the old NBA Jam. It was like he was on fire at that point. I mean, some of the threes he hit were deep, and it wasn't like he was wide open. They were right in his face. And then, I mean, you see how much it was at the end when Auburn at one point was triple teaming him. Auburn went to the zone trying to contain him. And Tennessee, that is what's been a missing piece for Tennessee. How many times over the last couple of years have we seen these teams go to zone and shut Tennessee down? Now you've got a guy who can beat that zone. I was texting from a buddy of mine who's a big Auburn fan tonight, and that was what he says. His comment, he said Final Four bust for Tennessee. I don't know. It's hard for me to say that when Tennessee's never been to a Final Four, but this is a game Tennessee does not win in previous years. They don't win this game in previous years. They didn't have a guy that could take that game over like tonight, especially when you have guys really not looking for things, guys who are struggling offensively. And it was pretty much that second half. I mean, they pretty much went with the two bigs for a lot of it, Adu and Awaka, Ziegler and Connect. I mean, those guys, I don't remember them even coming out in the second half. And then, it depended on that fourth guy or that fifth guy, really kind of fourth, because they had to rotate Awaka and Adu due to foul trouble. Adu did foul out of the game. He still had a decent night, Adu, but, this is what these games Tennessee's lost this year. It's been these big guys. And, Adu is listed at 240, but he does get pushed around a lot. He has trouble with these other big guys, but you still got to commend him for what he does. He is a good center. He's a good ball player. He still had a decent night, but, I think it's one of those as well where he would think he could have did better on it. Get to a few more of these comments. Got some good stuff coming in. Best part of Vescovy's bucket was the reaction the Auburn guy was defending Dalton. That was good. I like the guy that was defending Vescovy on it. Hell, he just turned around and he was just watching. He wasn't even paying attention. He was just watching. And then here Vescovy just scoots in there, gets it, puts it back. That was awesome. And then I think come back down and James had it. We were on the group text. I was like, Vescovy and James are alive. I didn't even know they were existing for a lot of the game tonight. But great to have DK make up for our fifth-year guys who were great on D, but again, MIA on O. Again, if they could score all the basketballs being stopped. Cannot agree more. Cannot agree more. Those guys are getting on the court because of their defense. Their offense has been very suspect this year. I mean, especially SEC play, both of them are like under 8 points per game, under 7, if I'm not mistaken, on that. But that's where we need these guys like Gainey. I don't think Gainey's in for his defense, even though he does some decent things, but he's more in for his offense, and that's what we need out of him. I like the lineup with them playing Adu and Awaka as long as those guys can stay out of foul trouble. Looking at Ziegler, as long as Ziegler and Connect are not in foul trouble, they're going to be out there. I've stated on these previews and stuff, I absolutely love this end of year stretch. And they talked about it on our Tom Hart stole my line calling it the gauntlet here at the end of the year. But it is a gauntlet. Auburn tonight, Alabama Saturday, South Carolina next week, Kentucky. That, including Tennessee and those 4 teams, that's your best 5 teams in the Southeastern Conference. Florida has a little bit of a say-so on that. They're playing good basketball. They're now ranked 24th in the nation. But I think Tennessee did a lot tonight. This was one I said I feel they had to win tonight, because if not, that's going to put them in Auburn even. And Auburn's got an easier. They've got Mississippi State, Missouri, and Arkansas, if I'm not mistaken, their last 3. No. Mississippi State, Missouri, Georgia is their last 3. That's 3 games I expect Auburn to win. So if you would have lost this game tonight, if you're Tennessee, you're tied in the loss column. You're at Alabama, you're at Carolina, you got Kentucky at home. Auburn is up on you on head-to-head. this was a big swing night. It's basically a 3-game swing in a respect because Tennessee's essentially 3 games up on Auburn. Let's see here. As much as Vescovi can frustrate you at times, he will always play his ass off on defense and will end up making several basketball plays that don't show up in the stat sheets that will help you win. Yeah, absolutely. And I like to look at, I don't know if any of you guys look at it a lot of times the next day on utsports.com when they update the stats, they do the plus minus. So if you're a baseball guy, and I still don't understand this to the fullest extent in baseball, but WAR is the term. It's wins above replacement. And it factors in not only offensively, a guy doesn't have to hit 330 with 40 home runs and 140 RBIs to be an effective baseball player and steal 40 bases. It can be a decent average, do a little bit of everything, but defense is factored in as well. Well, the plus and minus is kind of the same thing in that respect because it measures a player's ability, how he affects the whole game, not just offensively. He can afford to not have a good night offensively, but then on the defensive side, their plus minus, it shows up in that regard. So it's an interesting stat to look at because there's been numerous times where I've thought, well, Vescovi and James, they're contributing nothing. And then you go look at the plus minus on it, and they're at like close to plus 20 for the game. So it shows you they are having that effect on it. And, like Elam said here, as frustrating as they can be, I don't think they would be out there if they were affecting the game. But, yeah, they can frustrate the hell out of you. Those guys can. That's a fact on it. But good comments there. Let's see. You really connect tonight, Frank. Glad they pushed through the W. Yep. See, Richard Patton, how about them balls? Big win tonight, man. This was big, and this was especially with what's on the line. You guys know my opinion on it. I don't care about the SEC tournament. I want that regular season championship, though. To me, that means more than that SEC tournament for Tennessee because it's frankly not going to affect their seeding, or it shouldn't, because 2 years ago when they won the tournament, we thought, well, that's going to bump them up a line in the tournament, and it had no effect on it. So, and then they ended up going out in the second round of Michigan on that year. So that at that point, I was done with it. I was already on the fence that year. I was like, you know what? Let's win this thing and get that banner up. Say we've won this SEC tournament. Now I don't care about it. I really don't. If they lose the first game next weekend, or I'm sorry, in 2 weekends, so be it. Get the rest, get ready for the big tournament. Let's see right here. Nothing to say about DK. Hasn't always been said he's just the best player on the court when he decides it's time, no matter who the opponent is. He decided it was time tonight. He hit the 3, and then they had the play where they hit Adu at the free throw line. He hit the bounce pass, jammed it home, and it was on from there. And what I liked about this game too, it was a good competitive game. Anytime you're in a competitive game, guys are going to do a little bit of talking. I just thought it was a good played basketball game. There wasn't anything dirty. There wasn't any cheap shots. The only thing annoyed me was Stephen freaking Pearl getting out on the court the number of times he stuck his nose out there as well. But, it's I don't – we texted with some buddies there and we talked about it that, Bruce Pearl, all this that's happened with Tennessee is not possible without Bruce Pearl. Stephen Pearl can suck it, though. That's just the way it is. That guy rode his daddy's coattails when he was in Knoxville. Had no business playing over guys like Jerron Mayman. You guys could probably remember some of the other ones. Jordan McCray was on the team at that time. Kenny Hall, I think, was still on it around that time. And then he rides daddy's coattails all the way to Auburn. Still riding them now. That guy can just, like I said, he can suck it. That's just the way it is. Let's see. What? I'm not sure. What's it? See, here's a good one. Auburn brought their A game. Tennessee brought their A+ game. So I feel this theoretically could be 2 Final Four teams. And when you look at it, I know coming in this game, the Ken Palm rankings, all my videos, I've talked about those a little bit. Ken Palm actually had Auburn ranked 5th in their rankings, had Tennessee 6th. So they had Auburn the top team in the conference on it. And the Ken Palm, of course, are not like the AP and the coaches polls of the top 25, but they factor in a whole lot of different rank. They're pretty interesting. So if you ever get a chance and you're interested in that, Google KenPom, KenPom rankings, and there's like close to 10 metrics they use across it. And Auburn, their defensive efficiency was like 5th compared to Tennessee's 2nd. And I think Auburn was 12th offensively, Tennessee 15th. These two teams, man, when I previewed this thing, if you go down those stat columns, there was not much difference in anything tonight. And I said in my keys to victory, I really thought Thompson Bowling Arena needed to be that difference tonight. And I'm going back to my keys when I did this yesterday. I talked about, I basically had 5 keys. And my first one I said on it was DK has to be DK. And that's what he was tonight. He was Dalton Connect. He was the A+ Dalton Connect tonight. Tennessee needed that to win that basketball game. If they get B Dalton Connect, they don't win this game. Because Tennessee come out of the second half, Ziegler hit that 3 to end the first half. They come out, and then they got out to what was it, 8 or 9 point lead. And then here Auburn came. And, Broome, you got to, some of you said it in the chat, or you got to give Broome credit. That dude's a player. He is a player. And, looking, I think I didn't even get that far through the stats, but I do want to look at Auburn's. They had Holloway. He was the freshman. He had 5 points, 2 assists. That was one I felt Ziegler had to win that matchup tonight. I felt confident he would. And, Ziegler wasn't perfect. What I liked about Ziegler, though, his free throw shooting, it was not that great. But you know what? At the end, when it mattered, he stepped up and got it done. Loved that. That was a guy who wanted it. He got it done, and he did big things at the end. Bruce tried to cheat, get a foul. That didn't happen. The announcers were reviewing the foul. I've never heard of that, if they were actually trying to review a foul. It seemed to me like it was for clock the whole time. This is a funny one. So, Little Pearl can suck it. Heck yeah, great ball. Absolutely. Absolutely. Could not agree more with any of that. Will DK ever get his 40 piece? Man, I thought he had it. I was saying it to myself, he's getting it tonight. And then he didn't get it. It didn't happen at the end. And, it was probably a smart thing, to be honest with you, that they went. I really kind of thought they would give it to Vescovy to shoot free throws at the end, but Vescovy passed it to Ziegler, and then they got the quick foul. I really thought Connect should have had some free throws. Maybe it was a couple minutes ago. The Auburn guy grabbed a hold of Connect right in front of the referee, and nothing was called for it. And I think that was the play that come down. They reviewed it for a flagrant, which wasn't. And I was glad they didn't call it, because I didn't see anything that was over the top on it. But that dude grabbed Connect just clear as day, and then nothing. I mean, it was nothing. I had a few issues with some officiating tonight, and I don't know. I think each team probably had some beefs. My beef on the Tennessee side of things, I don't know how many times I saw Auburn get the ball and walk with it. The guy would shuffle, take 2 to 3 steps before he ever made a move. Apparently, the travel call is non-existent in college basketball, the same as it is the NBA. Now, because you see, I don't know how many games we've seen it, and it's not called. Fouls, it's like one time a dude will get jarred pretty good, and then it's like the next time you breathe on a guy, and this happened both ways. There were times where I thought Tennessee would kind of be a little aggressive with Auburn, get away with it, and then the next time they would be more just, it seemed like nothing, and it was a foul. Same on the other end. I saw Auburn a couple times. I thought Auburn was a little aggressive, got away with it, and then there was times it felt like they bumped, basically breathed on Tennessee, and it got called. Just inconsistent. That's officiating, though. It is what it is. It's not going to change. I don't know if it gets worse or if it's just the norm at this point. Let's see here. Broome did he's a great player. Kind of wish Tennessee would have got him instead of Auburn. Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to have Broome on our team. Heck of a player. I mean, great player. Really good. Probably one of the best players in the conference this year. But, what I like about it, they've tried to talk other guys up for Conference Player of the Year. And I don't know what will happen the last 3 games, obviously. But if Connect didn't wrap it up tonight, he's got to be pretty close to it. The guy's the best player in the conference. I cannot wait to see what this dude does in the NBA. I think he's going to be a good NBA player. I really do. Some of you guys have watched, especially some of my old buddies on here have talked. I've always been a Lakers fan. Of course, still am now. Not a LeBron fan, but I stick with him. Been a fan since Showtime days. But Austin Reeves, that's a lot of who Connect reminds me of. But I think Connect, of course, Austin Reeves is playing on a team with LeBron, AD, D'Lo, and all these guys. Connect, he has that takeover ability. And one of the things on him, and I had did a video a while back called it The Legend of Dalton Connect on it. But there was an article in The Athletic talked about his progress from out in high school in Colorado, went to JUCO, went to Northern Colorado, and then he did attempt, he tested the waters last year to go to the NBA. And the one thing they said about him, you need to work on your defense. Well, he made the decision to probably go for the best defensive mind, if not the best defensive minds in college basketball, and Rick Barnes. And we've not seen a guy take over games like this under Rick Barnes in a long time. And they talked in that article too about how Connect has earned, basically he's earned that respect for Barnes. He's earned that trust to where now you see it like tonight with about 9 minutes to go. And I would almost bet money in that huddle it's give it to Connect. And what gave it to me that next time down, Connect had hit the three. He had the dunk, and it was like the next time down the court, Ziegler went in and threw it to him. That signaled to me that it was takeover time, and he did. He took it over for sure. Got a few comments here. Thank you guys. Like always, guys, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you tuning in. It's very, very grateful for the support on this. Listen to the show daily and leverage content, but I thought our free throws were going to sink us second half, but in clutch it's when we made it. Thank you. Thank you, Alex. Greatly appreciated. I'm just trying to be well-rounded on the channel. Can't find a lot of stuff out there other than like your pay sites that cover all three sports. And I'm a big fan of all three. Big baseball, Tennessee baseball, big Tennessee basketball. Of course, we're all big Tennessee football fans as well. But, I know there is a market out there, people that want a little bit more basketball and baseball that's maybe not out there. So I'm hoping I can kind of fill that in. Everybody and their brother that does Tennessee podcasts and stuff are doing football. I probably can't do anything nobody else is doing, but I'm trying to brainstorm some ideas come fall to do something differently. I'm not getting into the post-game market with football because others that's got a hell of a lot more viewers than I am are going to do that. It would be kind of pointless. And plus I've got some tickets for some games already, and I want to go to the games if possible. And living where I live here in Greenville, they have Yeehaw Brewing where they have some pretty cool watch parties, or you can go watch on the big screen outside. I enjoy doing that as well. It's a lot of fun to do as well. But yeah, thank you, Alex. I appreciate that as well. Let's see here, Sam. They caught a couple fouls on Jonas that he had little to no contact. Yeah, I thought so too. I thought he had a couple of cheapies in there as well. Need Ole Miss to beat Bama. I had it on. I think it's at Ole Miss. That would be big tonight, if so, because I looked at Bama's schedule. They have Ole Miss tonight. They have Tennessee Saturday. They're at Florida next week. And I think that's a game, hopefully, we need Florida to beat Alabama next week. Didn't work out last weekend when they played, but they get another shot. And hopefully Florida can come through for Tennessee next week, regardless of how it goes. I still like Tennessee's chances Saturday night. I know it's in Tuscaloosa. I think Auburn's better than Alabama all around. I really do. I think Alabama's probably better defensively, but offensively, but they're not better defensively. Alabama's not that good defensively, or at least they haven't been. Auburn is. Auburn's got a really good team. Let's see what else we got here. Ref cannot call 3 fouls on the same play. DK was definitely held on the play discussed, or 2 other. Yeah, man, there was I'm trying to think if they even called a foul on any of them. And I think that's what you're saying here. So, yeah, that's right. They didn't call a foul on any of them. You had the Connect was held. I think Ziegler was roughed up a little bit. And then maybe Ziegler was fouled a couple times, possibly on that one. But, yeah, and then I think nothing ended up happening on that one. Frank is so good at listening, even though he's a Lakers fan. Yeah, old Lakers-Celtics rivalry here. Magic versus Bird rivalry here. If you ever get a chance, and if you're a younger person and have never watched Larry Bird, you go back and watch him. He was a lot of fun to watch. And supposedly he was the biggest trash talker that ever played, and especially one of the old videos where him and Lambeer got in a fight is just hilarious to go back and watch. But Bird was awesome, even though being a Lakers fan, yeah, Bird was great to watch. The lack of charge calls this year has made into shot clock out of control drives an offensive option. One game had 3 calls, and we get gutted down the lane. I do not remember a lot of charge calls this year, and it seems that a lot of the lowering of the shoulder is not called as much anymore. Some of your offensive fouls are really more, it seems, a hook or maybe some kind of a forearm. But yeah, that's a good observation, because I hadn't really thought much about it. But now that you said it, I don't remember. Tennessee's had some games. There was one where maybe it was A&M where they got 2 or 3 charge calls, but it's kind of odd anymore to do that. Let's see. We're about 27 minutes in. Got 27 of you. The comments are going good, guys. Thank you. Keep it up. Yep, can't agree with this one more. Everybody hit that thumbs up button. That's right. Share this thing out there. Let's build this thing up. And I'm hoping I'm going to put a lot of focus on the basketball the rest of the way, especially with the 3 games left. I'm going to go live post game. I don't know that I will Kentucky, because there's a watch party that we're talking about going to, and I may just do a game recap after Kentucky. I have to see how it goes, but definitely SEC tournament, NCAA tournament, if all works out well based on the times. Of course, the old sick day may have to happen if it's an afternoon game, but I'm hoping it'll be late evening or early evening games on that. But I'll definitely do some post game down the stretch, and hopefully we ride this thing all the way to the Final Four. And this team right now, I asked it the other night, and we did it, and you guys are in the comments. What's your outlook for this season? What would be success? To you, what would be failure? I don't know if to say failure, but what would be underwhelming, I guess, for you guys in the comments? Are you saying national championship? Is that realistic, do you guys think? Is Final Four realistic? Is it Elite 8, Sweet 16? What do you think's realistic down the stretch here? And then what to you would be disappointment on it? I know what I have in mind. I'm curious to see what you guys in the comments have as well. Eric Jones, great showing the kid. Tennessee win tonight over Auburn. Now hopefully they can go to Tuscaloosa Saturday and beat Alabama. If they don't, they will be regular season champions. I really think if Tennessee wins Saturday night, they've got a really good chance to win the conference. Be that number 1 seed in the SEC tournament, which I don't really care about. But, so be it. If Tennessee wins the conference tournament and then they go in and go to the Final Four, go to the national championship, great. That, then the conference tournament, great. But I don't want them to – it's kind of one of those things, I guess. I don't want them to get in the conference tournament, use up a bunch of energy and gas out, and then their legs are gone come NCAA tournament time. That's kind of my point. I would honestly rather see them get rid of the conference tournaments, just add 2 more games. Do they need to add 2 more non-conference games earlier in the year, or do they need to add 2 more conference games on here at the end? I just think to me, in my opinion, I was talking about it with somebody at work on it, and, the NCAA tournament, you never know what's going to happen, but just imagine each year, and I'll use like the Southern Conference, for example. If you're in East Tennessee State, you're a Wofford, you're a Furman, one of these teams. For 5 months, especially you get to conference play, you win the conference, but yet you've got to turn around and go to Asheville and win a tournament to get in. And if you don't, you're going to the NIT. I just don't like that. And I know it's a money grabber. I know what it is. But to me, I want to see all of the regular season conference tournament or conference champion teams get in. How much better would that team be instead of this 11-20 team who hit a hot streak and then they get to play a play-in game? Your play-in games should totally, to me, be for these teams trying to get in. Your last, 4 play-in games? So your last 8 teams in should be the play-in games. That's just my opinion. It doesn't mean I'm right on this stuff. Does not mean I'm wrong on it either. let's see here. Auburn more physical than Alabama. Totally agree. Totally agree with that. Alabama is, you know, their offensive numbers are good, but I mean, Tennessee ran them out of the building the first time. It was just the game that the way Alabama plays, it didn't concern me on it. And, you know, who knows? Maybe I totally expect Tennessee will have their hands full Saturday night, but I'm going to go and say I'm predict them to go down there and win because I think Tennessee's a better basketball team on it. Bama sucks. I don't see it. I don't think. I don't know. I would have to go back and really look at their schedule for to see why they're. I mean, I think they're a decent team, but I don't know, man. I look at Auburn. I look at some. I think Auburn's a lot better than Alabama. I just really do. Maybe it's based off tonight, but I don't think stats are the be all end all. But I also think they do kind of tell you what's going on for the season as well. And you've got an Auburn team ranked top 5 in defense, top 15 in offense. That's a solid, well-rounded team. Alabama, I know when Tennessee played them the first time, they were ranked. They had one of the top scoring offenses in the nation, but their defense was right, like down around 70. And I don't expect that it's a whole lot better at this point. But they'll have to bring it. There's no doubt about it. The play where Auburn sent 3 guys connect, absolutely no answer. And the play where Vescovy scored, felt like they could design a play similar to that for the tournament. I wonder if that kind of gave them some ideas tonight on it, especially you get late in the game and maybe if Connect's on a roll and all of a sudden you're trying to send extra guys to him. Do you maybe get that play where Connect throws it up and you've got a guy that runs down the lane and hopefully the ball bounces right? I mean, a lot still has to happen on that. You had the guy who was on Vescovy fell asleep. I think it was the guy on Connect fell asleep. And I mean, it was basically one guy that was down there. It was great. That was a great. I don't think it was on purpose, but it worked out nicely for sure. Let's see. I know Dykes was talking. I don't know what you got. I like old Jimmy Dykes, and he's been on a lot of games this year. And he seems to like watching Tennessee. He doesn't sell it short, but I've always kind of liked to listen to him. I always thought he was pretty fair on games. 1 seed incoming. I think they control their destiny right now with that. I really think so. I mean, they talked about Purdue, UConn, Houston. Tennessee's probably fighting for that 4th number 1. I think those other 3, barring they don't collapse down the stretch, and same with Tennessee. But if Tennessee ends up winning the SEC regular season, they should be a number 1 seed, in my opinion, no matter what they do in the conference tournament. Because if you're 2 years ago not going to move them up a line for win the conference tournament, you sure better not move them down for not winning it this year. Let's see. We're in a fight for the SEC regular season championship. We need Bama to lose tonight. That would help a lot. We need Bama to lose tonight. We need them to lose at Florida next week as well. That way, because I still think that Carolina game's going to be tough. And there's a part of me thinks out of Carolina, Auburn. Auburn, because they can offense and defense. Carolina's style gave Tennessee a fit the first time. I mean, that game and the Texas A&M game were Tennessee's worst 2 offensive games of the season. It wasn't even close on that. I would say they were worse at Texas A&M just because Connect kept them in it against South Carolina, and Connect didn't have that great of a game against A&M. Nobody really had that good of a game against A&M that night. But that Carolina game next week's going to be tough. I really think it will, just because their style of play. I don't think they're more talented than Tennessee, but that style, we've seen it over the few years. But the thing Tennessee has going for it, they've got that guy that can combat it now, for sure. Let's see here. Like I said, guys, thank you guys for tuning in. Lots of good comments coming. We struggle against legit big men. Jonas is great against equal height, but thinner guys. He's Mr. Fundamental. When a dominant big man plays this, Tobey fouls, and Jonas can't stay in front of them. I kind of thought we might see a little bit more of Estrella. He come in at one point. Estrella's big thing, and we've seen it with other guys. He has no hands right now. He come in and battled for what he was in like a couple minutes. He come in and battled, and it went right out of bounds. Because, man, go Estrella, and then here the ball goes out of bounds. off of it. I think he's got a big future at Tennessee, JP Estrella. My hope with these freshmen, they're not playing like they probably would like to, but I hope they'll stay in there because you're going to lose Connect, you're losing James, you're losing Best after this year. If I'm Adu and Ziegler, I test the waters. I don't necessarily think they should go pro, but what do they have to lose? They have, unless this COVID year stuff is still going and it gives them 2 more years, but I'm not sure. This COVID year stuff's got to be ending sometime soon. So, but if I'm Ziegler and I'm Adu and next year's my last year, go test the NBA waters, get some feedback on it, see what they got. See, it's Tennessee team's Final Four team this season. If they play consistently, play together, I think they don't make it. And I think this Tennessee don't make it to the Final Four this season. Here you go. If not, I think this is a disappointment. That's going to be a lot of it. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of Final Four busts, and I don't hate it. I don't hate it because if you don't have expectations, what's the point? I guess it's kind of like the old movie Dodgeball. What was it? Vince Vaughn, I think, in it said, I don't set expectations so I don't get disappointed. So, I mean, you could take that approach, I guess, but I don't know of a season to where I felt more confident. I really thought 2 years ago when they got hot and won the SEC tournament that they were set up to possibly make that run to the Final Four, but we know how that went. And we look back on that team at some of what they were missing. Man, I'd love to see Kennedy Chandler still on this team. I think he's in the G League now, if I'm not mistaken. I would have loved to have seen him. If you had him and Ziegler out there, Chandler was a baller. He was a baller, and you can't blame him for going pro when he did. But, man, it would have been nice to have seen him come back at least another year, if not 2 years. I mean, if you would have had Chandler on this team with connecting these guys, what would this team have looked like? They had, what was the guy that ended up transferring to St. John's? Ledlam. They were pretty excited to get him in the offseason. That seemed like a pretty big pickup as they beat out some decent teams for him. Then he come to campus and then he ended up transferring to St. John's for whatever reason. But, man, if you'd had another guy, another, grad transfer, how much could he have helped this as well? Must win game 1. I thought tonight absolutely was must win. No doubt about it. I thought it was must win just because, again, it would have put you tied with Auburn in the loss column, and it would have essentially put you a game behind based on head-to-head on it as well. Stopping Grant Nelson's the key Saturday. Sears will get his in a combination of ways, but Nelson is Bama's make-or-break guy, size and shot skill. Good stuff right there. Yeah, I think that was the way it was the first time around. If I'm not mistaken, Sears had his double digits. I could go back and probably pull those up. Well, I'll do the preview leading up to this weekend. I'll kind of compare that as well. But, that's where Tennessee's got to go. And I liked it the first time around. I like it this time around. I still like how Tennessee matches up with Alabama. And I guess my big fear in that game is you don't have like Texas A&M and some of these where the team that's at home all of a sudden looks like, they're like a team full of Steph Curry's out here shooting threes, like Texas A&M became on that night. They've not shot it as good since that, and they didn't shoot it as good before that. That was their game of the year back. I will take back my Rick Barnes postseason 8 if his team makes it to the Final Four under the premise that he took the talent he had just about as far as they were capable of going. This team's, the sky's the limit on it. My fear is if you get in against a Purdue, a North Carolina, Kansas. I don't watch I don't watch much basketball other than Tennessee. I'll be honest, I don't watch much NBA anymore. I don't really watch a lot of college. I will watch more college baseball than I do anything. Of course, I'll watch more football when it's football season. But honestly, during basketball season, it's pretty much Tennessee basketball and then wrestling. I watch wrestling. I don't know how many nights a week as well, but what I know about Houston, I don't know much about their players individually. I do know they're really good defensively, and I think they're decent offensively. We've seen Purdue. We saw them out in Maui earlier this year. We've seen Kansas. We've seen North Carolina, and I know UConn was on top for a long period of time, but I don't know much about them individually as far as their height, what they've got. So just to know how Tennessee matches up. Now it comes time, I'll happily review that and look at it, look at their size. That's something to know. But like I said, I'm just not – there's a point in time back in the past I used to watch basketball all the time. I don't know. I'm just not. I'm totally into Tennessee. Other than Tennessee, I don't really care anymore. That's who I watch, and that's it. Like I said, college baseball. I mean, like Sunday, I watched Tennessee and Albany. I don't know how many more games I watched after. I watched 3 or 4. If you don't have ESPN Plus and you're a college baseball fan, it is phenomenal. Love it just for the college baseball because you get pretty much every game on it. And I was watching North Carolina, East Carolina. That was an awesome game to watch. Watch Cal State Fullerton a little bit. So some of those. The Grant Admiral team being the only exception. So I'm going back to that. That Grant Admiral team, I mean, what was it? That was the team went out in the Sweet 16. Lamonte Turner still hasn't fouled Carson Edwards, regardless of what happened. Tennessee should have been the Elite Eight. They got the shaft that night. But, too, you could look at they got down big the first half that night. And, it was, I guess in the end, it was just too much to overcome. Nelson versus Aduawaka Estrella. Yeah, that's going to be the big one there. Yeah, this game, South Carolina gave Tennessee trouble with their physicality that game. And South Carolina's big guy, I can't remember the name off the top of my head. Coming into that game, he only averaged about 14 minutes, but they played their 7-foot guy. They played him a lot more that night, and he gave Adu trouble. And then I can't remember South Carolina name. It was the guy, kind of a Grant Williams, but a little taller guy for South Carolina, really good player, gave Adu trouble that night. Don't connect the best players since Bernard King. Man, I've seen a lot of debate on this. I'm curious to see what you guys think on that. In your lifetime, I know a bunch of you guys in here are closer to my age. Do you think Dalton connects? King at Tennessee was I don't remember him. I guess that would have probably been around the time I was born. I remember King in the NBA. Not a whole lot about him, but Tennessee's had some good players this time. Is Dalton Connect the best since Bernard King down there? I think there's a good case for it. I really do. I mean, I think of Allen Houston, but what did Allen Houston have around him? I don't think that team even sniffed a tournament. I do remember the year Allen Houston put that team on his back and carried them to the SEC tournament championship, where if they would have won, they would have been in, but they ran into Alabama back when they had Ori and Spreewell, and it was too much for them. But, I mean, since that, Grant Williams is one of your best players that's played down there. Schofield was good. Williams was back-to-back conference player of the year. He was one of your better ones. Some of those 90s teams, especially late 90s, had some really good players on it. When you had Kevin O'Neill stack those teams, Kevin O'Neill just couldn't coach them. Jerry Green took it over. And, Jerry Green was okay, but I felt his teams achieved when he was there. They were loaded with talent. And just Sweet 16, I think, is as far as they went. And out of his 4 years, I think they had maybe 2 first-round exits, a second-round exit, and then an Elite 8. Houston was not as good inside. Yeah, Houston was more of an outside guy. That's right. Connect is his big things. He can do a little bit of all of it. He's the inside-outside guy. I totally agree with you on that one. I don't know. Maybe there's some guys. You had Yarborough, Slay, Hazelip were good, but you think about that during Buzzball. Those 3 guys and how good they were, and they didn't even make a tournament. Bruce, you had Lofton, which Lofton, one of the all-time greats, but Lofton was mainly a shooter. He wasn't the inside-outside guy that Connect is. You had Juwan Smith during that time, who was, I think, an underrated player for Tennessee. I'm thinking your guys. Jordan McRae, I thought was really good when he was there. I don't think anybody's been as good as Connect since Bernard King. I'm going to agree on it. And, some of you guys can disagree with me on that as well. Disagree, I guess, with Sam and I both. But to me, thinking back over it, there's been some good players down there, but I just can't think of a guy. Lofton, when he got hot, could kind of take over. But, again, his game was more outside, excellent free throw shooter as well. Connect, I don't know, man. I just hadn't seen the guys that can take it over like him. He has been, we talked about it the other night on here, and some of you guys that are in here, you made the comments in it. This team without Dalton Connect, where are they? They're a tournament team this year, but they're probably around that 5-6 range, 5-6 seed range. The difference in this team, Dalton Connect, I mean, that tells you what the difference is. Potential number 1 seed versus probably a 5-6 seed. I really think so. And, who knows who they would have gone after had they not gotten Connect. So, fortunately they did get him. But it's totally transformed the team. I mean, it's just these games like tonight, they lose if they don't have Connect to take it over. I mean, just fascinating we did. And, I've never finished my stats. I'm going to run down the stats and hopefully not get off track. So we'll look at Auburn's. Holloway had 5. Baker had 13. Jones 11. Johnson 5. Broom 23 points, 9 rebounds. They had, what was his name? KD Johnson, I think 10 points. Williams, I'd initially, when I previewed it, talked about Williams. He was coming in Auburn's second best player. He didn't play over the weekend. And then he was not even listed on the projected lineup and team when I looked at it last night when I did my keys to victory. He was not even listed. He did play. He played 21 minutes, had 12 points tonight. You had Berman with 5. So that was your stat line for Auburn. Now, they did have a couple guys who played some, had a rebound still. And then look at Tennessee's stat line. Talk about her Adu 14-7. Good first half, not so much the second. I didn't think. Vescovy 2 points, but could not have had a bigger 2 points tonight with that putback. It was big. He had 4 rebounds. He had 1 assist. He did have 2 turnovers. He had 4 fouls that kept him out a lot. He only played 18 minutes due to the foul trouble. The man, Dalton Connect, 39 points, 12 out of 21 shooting, 5 out of 8 from three-point range, 10 out of 12 from the free throw line. So for as much flack as he gets for his free throw shooting, he was 83% tonight. That was over his season average. Josiah Jordan-James, 2 points. He had 4 blocks tonight, 6 rebounds. If you're looking at plus minus, and I'm curious to see the plus minus when it comes out, that is where James is going to get his pluses at because of his defense, because of his blocks, because of his rebounding. That's why he was on the court tonight. He was pretty much non-existent offensively. He had a couple of points, but he was big defensively. He had big moments. Got to give him and Vescovy credit. We've talked about it earlier. Can be frustrating, not always there offensively, but they're doing something to stay out there, and they did their thing there tonight. Let's see. Ziegler, 17 points. Ziegler struggled in the first half. I thought he was really good second half. Biggest thing with him, and he has a knack for 4 turnovers. He had 4 turnovers tonight. That's a lot for your point guard, but Ziegler ended up 17 points, 4 rebounds, 9 assists, 8 out of 12 from the free throw line. But, I guess the big thing, it was like he was 50% at one point, but when the game was on the line, got to give him credit. He stepped up and hit them all at the end. That was big for him. Awaka had 9 points, 5 rebounds. I thought he did some good things tonight, especially with Adu in foul trouble. JP Estrella played 2 minutes, had 2 turnovers. He did have a rebound. One of them, he dropped it out of bounds. Not sure what happened on the other turnover. Meshack, not many minutes for him tonight. He was pretty ineffective, I thought, as he picked up fouls quickly. And, he's a guy that I like him as a player, and I think he could do more offensively. But he's a guy I feel we're starting to see his minutes kind of go down a little bit. He's while I say I think he could do more offensively, he's still, a bit, I don't know. That's not his game. And if he's not playing defense, I don't think you're going to see him out there much. He's known for his defense. They talk about the battles that he and Connect have in practice and how much him playing on Connect in practice has helped Connect get better as well. It's pretty fascinating to hear about that. And then you had Gainey, had 7 points. He was 1 out of 4 from three-point range. He was 4 out of 4 on free throws. He had 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 turnover, 3 fouls kind of kept him out. So, I mean, it's kind of like usual. You had Connect. you had Ziegler and you had Adu. That's been your big three all year. If you look at the stats, it backs it up. I mean, whether it's in conference play or whether it's overall, that really backs it up. It's kind of the story of Tennessee's season. But, look at the team stats. This is some of the things. So 5 of my keys on it. I said DK has to be DK tonight. He was. That's a check. Win the rebounding battle. Let's see what happened on rebounds. Tennessee won the rebounding battle 37-30. That was the difference. There was a point in time they were up on rebounds in the first half. Auburn went back ahead of them because Broome was kind of having his way, but Tennessee stepped up, won the rebounding battle 37-30. That was big tonight because Tennessee was about right on their average. Auburn was averaging 38, 39 rebounds per game, so they held them down on that. Very good job by them tonight. I said Ziegler's got to win his matchup. He won it tonight. Wasn't perfect by any means, but he won it. Said your fifth-year seniors need to play like your fifth-year seniors. Meh, that's debatable. But you know what? Those guys had big moments when it counted. And the big thing I said, too, as well, keep Auburn down from three-point range. They didn't on this one. Auburn shot right at 41% tonight from three-point range. I said they need to keep them around 30%. But based on my 5 checkpoints they had, Tennessee hit 4 of the 5. That's winning basketball, especially against a good team like that. So Tennessee field goal percentage 50.9. Here's a big one for them tonight. 3-point range, 52.9%, 9 out of 17. They weren't forcing a lot tonight. They were taking good, smart. I mean, they only took 17. They were doing a lot of driving tonight. It was a good offensive game plan, and it's just goes to show you how much having a guy like Dalton Connect does for that offensive game plan. People's question the offensive game plan probably for, 3-4 years since Grant, Schofield, and Bone and those guys left. Well, you're seeing you need that type guy who can take it over. They've not had that guy, really. I mean, you had Chandler that could do his thing a little bit, especially toward the end of the year. You had, I don't know, last year you had Vescovine and James were 2 of your big guys. You had Kamwa who had his moments as well, but a lot of these guys were just inconsistent on it. Now you've got, as we've talked, over and over again, you've got that guy who can put the team on his shoulders and carry it. So for me, winning 4 out of the 5 based on what I looked at as keys was big. Free throw percentage, 75% for Auburn, 77.1% for Tennessee. Like I said, big one to me, 37-30 in the rebound column. That's where Tennessee and the games they've lost have had issues. They had those couple games. They beat LSU, but LSU dominated them on the boards. And then at A&M dominated them in every facet of that game that night. So pretty good to see how they bounced back since that. Let's see. Tennessee had the lead for right at 32 minutes of this game. Auburn just had it for right at 5.5 minutes of the game. Let's see. Auburn's last lead was 69-66 with 9:06 remaining. I thought it was a little less than that, but largest lead for both teams. Auburn was at 8, Tennessee at 9. Assists. Auburn was around 17, 18 assists per game. They had 20. Tennessee had 13 turnovers. Tennessee had them up in turnovers a little bit tonight. 16 turnovers for Auburn, 13 for Tennessee. Auburn's bench was better at 27-18. 3 blocks for Auburn, 5 for Tennessee. And then not much in the way of fast break points. 10 steals for Auburn to 6 for Tennessee. Points in the paint, actually pretty even though Broome, I thought, had his way tonight and really did some good things. It was 30-28 on that. And then fouls were 25-21. Auburn had 25, Tennessee 21. 1 technical foul for Auburn, Mr. Bruce Pearl, none for Tennessee. And there was a point in time where I thought maybe Barnes was kind of chirping his way to 1, but I guess he knew when to kind of stop, and he did not get that tee tonight. But, it is what it is. I don't know if Pearl, I didn't think Pearl was too over the top. I don't know. He was pretty emphatic about it. Maybe he earned it. But it wasn't a foul that he got it. He didn't really have much of beef on that one. Let's see. Back to our debate. Lofton was special. He was crafty enough to take over the game without all the athletic ability. He was, man. He was, you look at him, he's not out of all these players we talk about is in terms of athleticism. He was not up there athleticism wise, but I mean, just a smooth player. Just a smooth player. Again, one of the best that's played down there as well. Pretty awesome. He was fun to watch play, especially when he would get in his zone. As far as shooters, I have a hard time going against Lofton for the best shooters who have been down there. There's been some good shooters, been some good players, obviously. Connect does some pretty good things as well, but I don't think Connect, I don't know, man. He has those games like tonight where he just takes over, but Connect does so much. He can hit a 3 or 2, and then he's driving to the lane and taking that over. Just a special player. Let's see. His team's going to need a walk in Estrella if they're going to make a Final Four run. Yeah, especially if you get those games where Adu gets in foul trouble. You've got to have that as well. I absolutely agree with that. Indy Kid, where have you been? Taking a sabbatical. Took a little sabbatical in a while. Kind of debated for a long time about doing this ever since I left the other channel. I've moved around a few times as well. Moved not just homes, but cities as well. And, finally getting settled a little bit and things, and finally decided it was time to do this because my goal the other time, I really wanted to do 3 sports. I was given an opportunity to kind of mess with that. So I'm grateful for that opportunity where I had a little bit of knowledge to do this. I was very rusty at first and still at times rusty with this. And, I don't know how long I can go just talking to myself the whole time with this. But, for some of you guys that's come over from I appreciate you guys. It's pretty awesome to see you come over as well. Past Tennessee teams get beat every time against an opponent shoots 40% from 3. Man, that's a good comment. How many times have we seen it? I mean, you looked at Kentucky game this year. If you would have looked at that stat, if you had not looked at Tennessee's stat line and you would have looked at Kentucky's in that game and you would have went by to see if they won, you would have probably thought Tennessee got dominated because Kentucky was, if I'm not mistaken, around 50% from 3-point range. It was crazy what they did that night. But that's numerous games this year. They've given up 40% or more from 3-point range and still won, and it not come down to a final shot. So that just goes to tell you, the game changes, the game's evolving. It's an offensive game now, but you still got to be able to play that defense when it matters with it. And it goes to show you, too, you had 2 top 5 defensive teams tonight, and the score's 92-84. That's the thing about Tennessee the last few years. Defense has not been the issue. It's not been the issue, but now they're able to score. That's what we love there as well. That is what is the difference in this team. They're now able to score with it. This is one I forgot about. How do I forget Dale Ellis? Dale Ellis was fun to watch. I don't much remember him in college, vaguely, but I remember him definitely when he's with the old Seattle Supersonics up there. He was fun to watch, especially when he do the 3-point shootouts. I'm thinking he won some of the great shooters. So you've got shooters like Ellis, Allen Houston, Chris Lofton. I mean, those guys could shoot it. Connect. And I'll come to, is Dalton Connect him? Well, I'll tell you what, if he's not, he misses a damn good chance at it. I will say that. We said it on our group text some of us earlier in the year. We were calling him then. We'll see how it goes down the stretch. But I think he gets in that zone. What I like about him, I feel there's those games where you're starting to say, where's this thing going? And it's like, he's like, I've got this. I'm going to take this thing over. Let's see. Yeah, absolutely. This was a huge win for us tonight. Absolutely it was. It was a huge win tonight. I really thought coming in and looking at these 2 games tonight and Alabama, if I've got to win 2 of them, that's the 2 I want. If I'm going to go 2-2, the last 4 with it, which, I mean, let's look at that is possible. It's the gauntlet. I love it. I absolutely love it because from this point forward, starting tonight with Auburn, Alabama, South Carolina, Kentucky, odds are, if they hold on, they're the number 1 seed in the SEC tournament. They're going to play. They're going to play the latter part of the weekend on it. You're going to play more than likely a potential tournament team at that point. That's under the assumption that there's not a big upset. So you're going to, you've got to bring it from here forward. They're going to try in the SEC tournament. Absolutely, they're going to try. And then, of course, you get the NCAA tournament. You don't bring it, you're going home. We've seen it. I mean, we saw them have a good first 2 rounds last year, and then they got in against FAU, an extremely winnable game. And funny story on that. When I was coaching baseball last year at a program here in South Carolina, a really good program too. I had a cool opportunity last year, but some of those guys I coached were like, hey, come up, and they wanted to make the bet because one of them was on the FAU train. He picked FAU to go to the Final Four, and he's like, they wanted to bet me. So if you're familiar with baseball, you run polls sometimes. He's like, hey, we'll bet you if FAU wins, you got to run polls. If Tennessee wins, we got to run them. I was like, hey, this is an easy bet here. Well, as we know here, guess who got to do polls at that point? So it was pretty fun. It was pretty fun coaching. That was kind of the fun we had with it, doing stuff like that. But yeah, that game, extremely winnable game. And frankly, they crapped the bed on it. I was actually looking at taking a train from Columbia to New York. That would have been I would have been even more unhappy had I forked that money out to take the train to New York and then had to come back on it after that for sure. But let's see, I'm on hour and 2 minutes. You guys in the comments, man, y'all have driven this thing. That's what drives this for me. I can go by your comments. You guys keep it rolling. It's awesome. I appreciate you doing that. Sam, thank you. Love your baseball knowledge. I hate Sam knows baseball. I've heard people say that before. I love baseball. I'm very passionate about it. I study it a lot, or used to. I mean, I still do a lot. So thank you for that. Definitely going to try to provide that cover. Try to be knowledgeable about it. I kind of figure if I'm going to cover some of these things, I need to be knowledgeable about it, at least to an extent. I'm not going to know it all. I'm going to be wrong sometimes, obviously. But, if I didn't have that passion, that just keeping up with it enough, because honestly, I see some guys out here covering baseball that can't even get the names right. If I'm going to cover a team, I mean, I think I called Broom Johnny Broom in it because I don't watch out. It's Janai Broom. So I don't like to mispronounce names. That's a pet peeve of mine. And some of these, if I don't keep up with them, I'm hoping I don't say it wrong. But, if I'm covering Tennessee, I better hope I'm pronouncing the names right. I guess maybe that's the teacher and me taking over. Don't like to mispronounce something. Let's see. Appreciate this. Well, enjoying you on that other channel, doing the baseball and basketball post-game show. You know your stuff a lot more than I know, so keep the channel going. Thank you. I mean, not trying to toot my own horn by posting these, but, the feedback's awesome in here. It's been awesome. Thank you, guys. And last post I'll have here before I wrap this thing up, no better shooter at Tennessee than I've seen my 35 years in Lofton. I agree. And that's, I think we probably both say that not lightly, because there's been some really good shooters down there, but Lofton was awesome to watch. There were some good teams during pro. The fact that, I'm trying to think, Pearl got Lofton. You guys refresh my memory here. Lofton wasn't on the team when they got to the Elite Eight. Is that right? I'm thinking they didn't go Elite Eight when Lofton was on there. Maybe I'm wrong. No, it was Scotty Hobson. It was Chisholm. JP Prince. I think that was your Tyler Smith. And those guys got kicked off. They were like a 6th seed. And then they made that run. They beat Ohio State in the Sweet 16. Should have beaten Michigan State and gotten to the Final Four. Didn't happen, obviously. But I'm almost positive that Lofton was gone. Yeah, Tony White, man. Tony White was probably, hard to say he's not the best point guard that's played at Tennessee, at least in my lifetime on it. Tony White was awesome. There's been some decent point guards. There's been some years Tennessee's needed point guards. But if I think back over all the years with it, I can't think of a better one overall than Tony White. He was really good during that time. I actually thought, and some of you probably remember the name Tony Harris, I thought he was going to when he come in. His first year or two looked really good, and he seemed to regress as he got along to his last year. It was during Jerry Green. I think Kevin O'Neill recruited him in, and then Jerry Green took it over from there. And again, I talked about it earlier. Man, O'Neill stacked that team. Jerry Green, they had some really good teams. There was some good talent. I would venture to say stacked up the talent out of all the teams over the years. Some of those Jerry Green teams from top to bottom, most talented that's been at Tennessee. Bruce Pearl had some really good, talented teams top to bottom as well. But, I mean, some of those, I mean, you had C.J. Black. You had Charles Hathaway, who was kind of I don't know, he ended up not doing a whole lot, but he was considered a very highly touted prospect coming in. You had like Tony Harris, Vincent Yarbrough was in. A lot of talent there. Slay, some of those guys, Hayslip, Isaiah Victor. I mean, just so much talent back then. But, you look at Tony White, Chris Lofton, it'd be pretty fascinating to sit down and do an all-time Tennessee basketball team, I think. I mean, you got Ernie and Bernie in there, but, you got your Houstons, Dale Ellis's, Tony White's. In the grand scheme of things, it's going to be interesting to know how do you put Dalton Connect based on him being a one-year guy. But I'll tell you what, if he leads them to a Final Four or even, national championship game or national championship title, you're boosting Dalton Connect up there regardless of how long it is. But, guys, it's an hour and 7 minutes in. It's 10:32 p.m. Eastern time. Let's wrap this thing up, man. Y'all are awesome. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight. Thank you for keeping these comments rolling. We'll do this thing again Saturday night. Kind of my schedule again. I'll probably tomorrow sometime do a next day on it. Kind of just basically recap, having a night to sleep on it. Kind of hit some baseball preview stuff tomorrow as well with the Bowling Green series coming up this weekend. I did see where they moved the start times Friday and Saturday up on that. Curious to see who pitches Friday. I think it'll still be A.J. Russell, but I don't think it's for certain. It could possibly be A.J. Causey starting, depending on what they do with Russell Beams going Saturday and then Sunday. I mean, I would expect Seacrest goes Sunday. But this baseball team, man, they're fun to watch too, and especially you're starting to see more and more guys get going with the offense. They're top five in that lineup, especially if you get Burt going. That top five is going to be really tough to deal with. And then, you got guys like Bargo coming on. You've got Dean Curley coming on. Cannon Peebles had a good game last night, brought in from NC State transfer. He was brought in to be a big part of that lineup. You're looking at a potential couple years ago type lineup. Not saying it'll be as good, not saying it'll set records like that one, but it's going to be one of those, as you go through the order on the nights when Cal Stark's not playing, there's not going to be an easy out in that lineup. But, I'll wrap this thing up again, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you like this thing, share it, subscribe. The Wizards in the mix is one of the go. Yeah, he is. He is. We'll see where this thing goes. Like I said, if they go Final Four, he's up there. He's up there. If he carries this team, SEC regular season championship, let's say best case moving forward, SEC regular season, they come up next weekend, win the SEC conference championship. It'll be tough to do them both. Let's face it. It'll be tough, but it's possible. And then they go on a big run in the NCAA tournament. Yeah, man, Dalton Connect's up there. He is up there in terms of best players in Tennessee history. He really is. But, I've seen a lot of players, especially younger, saying, hey, he's the best I've seen. You can't go against that. Can't go against it. What he's doing, we've not seen a guy do this. Maybe, not that I can remember in my lifetime it can take games over like this at Tennessee. Not the way he does it anyway. But thank you, guys. Have a good rest of the night. I hope you guys have a good day tomorrow. Frank Rock, House of Orange Sports Channel. As always, go Vols.